did it impact you though, constantly having to start over again every time you went to a new school?
It was rough. It was really rough. I know as you got older, when you're younger, it's easy to integrate as you know, the younger you are. But as you start getting older, you're new kid in school, people want, they want to pick a fight. They want to, for the lads, back in the 70s, they want to pick a fight. So you think you're big and think you're tough. You think you're, and that was something that, happened. So you'd end up having 3 or 4 fights. Just they wanted to, make sure that you're in your right place within the school. Yeah. So you take a beating sometimes for no reason, and obviously part of my bringing up was that you don't just hit somebody for nothing. And it's I was brought up with certain rules around that, where in the civilian life it wasn't like that. It was a different rule of engagement. So yeah, it was you had to try and make friends, but then you also had to learn the rules of engagement. So everything I'd been taught, I had to unpick. You also had to learn, potentially, if you wanted to mix in, you've got to learn the local language as well.
I appreciate what you're saying, because I know, looking back at my children, because I was attached arm, so they came with me everywhere I went. And I think predominantly for my eldest, he really struggled making friends, because he felt like if he was going to make a friend, he'd be moved on. So what was the point of making friends if he's going to have to keep moving? That was kind of his takeaway on it. And it was really hard for him. So I did feel, because I knew that I didn't want to keep moving him round, but at the time I had no choice, if that makes sense.
And yeah, and it doesn't. It makes for, back then it made for quite a lonely place, for individuals. Maybe not so much now, because we have got, obviously we've got the internet, but I'd say there's different meeting people, and I still don't have a wide friendship group.